Good evening to everybody. Well, good evening here in the Philippines, and good morning, I guess, from our guests from around the globe. Welcome to the special edition of Sports Bytes. For tonight, we have a couple of distinguished gentlemen. But before I introduce them to you, allow me to call on my co-host for the evening, Sir Vincent Rico.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me again, and looking forward to a really good, interesting conversation with Bob and John.
Yeah, well, yep. Actually, if it wasn't for you, this would be possible. All right, let's get to it. Let's call on them. The co-founders and executive directors for the International Sports Academy. First up, Mr. Bob Bossman.
How you guys doing? Thank you so much for having me here.
All right, and together also we have the other co-founder and executive director, Mr. John Kopcso.
Pleasure to be with you, Brian and Vince. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, okay. So before anything else, we'd like to ask you, Bob and John, how are things going on in your end? I mean, you're at a different part of the world. How are things going on there?
Things are going well. Obviously, worldwide pandemic 2020 and 21 has been a whirlwind for everybody, but case numbers are going down, so that's a positive. And business is starting to go back to normal. We were able to have a successful academy year, so things are going well right now.
All right. How about you, John? Is that the same or are they different or whatever?
Very much the same. I mean, basketball is such a global sport, and I think through all this last 12 months, what we've seen is that the popularity of basketball as a sport remains very strong and just continues to grow. Kids are in all sports, not just basketball, but kids across the world are looking for that outlet on a daily basis. And so we're just trying to provide all those kids opportunities, even with the challenges we face.
All right. So let's get to it. Vince, you have the floor. You can open the questions now.
Thank you, Brian. My first question, either Bob or John can answer. If you can give us a bit of a background on ISA.
Absolutely. So ISA is International Sports Academy. And so what we are is a basketball academy growing in multiple sports right now, located in Willoughby, Ohio, which is about 20 minutes east of Cleveland. And we're located on the campus of Andrews Osborne Academy, which is a private co-ed international boarding school. So what we do, we recruit athletes from all over the world that are looking for another opportunity, both academically and athletically. And then we put them in an environment to thrive, succeed in whatever their goals and passions are. It's not just basketball, although basketball is our biggest sport, but what we have is our 9-month time academy where they come to school, they train, they play a national schedule. And then our two pillars are college placement and overall development. We're proud to say is 100% of the student athletes that do come into our full-time academy have opportunities to continue playing at the next level. NCAA Division I, Division II, Division III. And then we've got numerous players at the NBA level, as well as playing professionally overseas. So we have the full-time academy, we have our summer camps, and then we have what we call our custom programs. And that's when we bring over groups, individuals, clubs, federations, national teams, and customize the program for whatever needs that they're looking for, whether it's one day or multiple months, we can make it happen.
I noticed you've established sports academies in other countries. Where else do you want to establish your sports academy?
Absolutely. Excuse me. So we've had the privilege of being brought in by numerous federations and Olympic committees across the world to help them understand the academy, the U.S. Academy model, the revenue drivers, the ways to recruit, the way to run the day-to-day business operations. Asia has always been absolutely number one in our mind. Where in Asia? We're still in quite honestly negotiations with quite a few different international schools, but certainly Philippines is one that we would be very, very open to.
Has anyone from our country reached out to you guys?
From a student athlete standpoint,
Yes.
Not while we've been here at ISA. John, has there been?
We have not. It's certainly an area of the world that we would love to provide our expertise and our coaching knowledge and our sport knowledge. I think in general, what Bob echoed is that in the Asia, in Asia in general, but specific to the Philippines and other nearby countries, sports has grown in increasing popularity over the last 20 years. And so for us being able to bring the American scholastic model to more kids across the world, that's our number one goal. And so we'd be very much open, Vince, to having those conversations with the right people who share our vision.
We'll see what we can do to help you guys out.
Sounds great.
Brian?
Yeah, actually, Vince, I think the academy would be a big help to us.
Yeah.
I've been reading everything about it, so I'm just curious, Bob or John, have you heard anything about Philippine basketball? I mean, any names like comes to your head when you hear about the Philippines?
Off the top of my head, I'm becoming more familiar with Filipino Filipino basketball. We've really taken interest in the CBA, but we're learning that we need to look at other countries as well, and we've been doing so over the last 18 months. And the Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, those are all, Indonesia, are all countries that we've taken a high interest in. And so as we're progressing and growing, but is Kai Soto, is he Filipino? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I was gonna ask him about you after. Okay. So what have you heard about Kai?
Yep. Yeah. Great player. And I believe I just read he came back to the Philippines. Is that right?
I'm not sure. I think he's with the NBL, right, Vince?
He was supposed to, he flew back to Manila because he was supposed to play with the national team for the FIBA Asia qualifiers. And then it was canceled. It was postponed. Then he flew back to the States. And then recently he signed with the Adelaide 36ers of the NBL in Australia.
Okay.
So because the NBA G League, it didn't work out for him because with issues I think with his contract. So they looked at other options, and the NBL is I think a good option for Kai because it's near the Philippines. It's about a 7-8 hour plane ride, and if he gets called up by the country to play, it won't be too hard for him. It won't be too far for him to travel. And the NBL is not a run of the mill league. Their games are physical, and it'll be a good test for Kai, both physically and mentally as well.
Yeah, he's going to be getting that call sooner than he expects. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Have you seen him play?
Not live, but not live. I've seen a lot of film on him. Big, that can run, shoot, extremely skilled. You don't find a lot of players like him in this day and really ever. So he's a raw commodity.
I see. So speaking of players, I couldn't help but see this article that Vince gave me about the 7 foot. Where was that? This tall guy from Romania.
Yeah, Rob Bobrovsky.
Yeah. I read that article you had in with the New York Times. Can you tell us more about this guy? I mean, how good is he? I based on what I read, he's pretty good.
Yeah. Robert is a rare find, to say the least. Extremely skilled. Has great touch. Can shoot the three. Just being 7'7" at 16, 17, 18 years old, his body needed more time to develop. I actually just spoke to Big Rob last week. He's at University of Rochester in Michigan, where he redshirted this past year. Thing with Rob is outside of basketball, with basketball, he's unbelievable. Guy speaks 4 languages, extremely intelligent, I mean, no matter what he decides to do, whether it's basketball or another career path, he's going to be successful. But you know, we had such a pleasure at coaching him in high school. But yeah, one thing with him, he just had a procedure done to help with regards to his spine and his hips. And, you know, his progress over the last 12 months has been incredible. I'm looking forward to seeing his success in college.
Vince, you got any questions?
Yeah, okay. I read an article, Bob and John, about a recruit that was supposed to go to Ohio State, but he chose to go to ISA. Um, Please correct me if I'm wrong. Are you directly or indirectly competing with D1 schools, D2, D3 schools, or is ISA um, another avenue for recruits to go to?
Absolutely. John, you want to take that one, bud?
Sure. So the one exciting part about ISA is that we do not compete directly with any of the college or university teams here in the US. And I think what's unique about what we do is that we're truly a college readiness or pro development program. So whether a student is 13, 14 years old and they're starting their high school career and they want to continue on their sport journey, or they're 17, 18, or 19 years old and they were looking for that next step, whether it's NCAA basketball here in the US or it's a professional team or club overseas, we can accept them into our program and continue that readiness track for them. So the young man that you're speaking of, he still ended up at Ohio State University, but he did a year here first to prepare, not only physically, but academically. And so when he did get to Ohio State, as you guys know, college basketball is ultra competitive now. They're even talking about starting to compensate players in the future with pay, even at the college level. And so that amateur / professional line has been blurred more and more because of how much money the NCAA has driven here in the United States as almost a professional league. It's very important for young men and women to be proficient in their sport, but also completely mature and ready enough to handle that next step. And so that's where ISA really provides a lot of value for young people, is that they can use it as a stepping stone to the next level. And so while, a young man like that situation, his name is Demetrius, he could have gone straight to Ohio State, but I don't know if he truly would have been ready for the performance, the level of performance that they would have required on day one. Coming here for a year prior, it was a huge success for him because not only did he get to play as a first-year player a lot, he was successful playing. And, you have guys and college teams ranging from 18 to 24 years old. An 18-year-old competing against a 24-year-old man is a whole different story. So, we want to create that pipeline not only for students in the U.S., but certainly abroad as well. And that's, kind of on the heels of talking about Robert and his success. He needed an ISA. He needed a place where he could come and develop before he was ready for that next jump. And so we always seek out students that may not have access to these types of training resources in their hometowns to come to a campus like ours where we can really deliver the resources they need to get to where they want to go.
So obviously, there's no conflict with the NCAA with what you guys are doing with having having kids straight out of high school go to ISA and then go to a D1, D2, or D3 program, right? By what you've just told us.
Zero
Correct.
conflict.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we start boarding in the 7th grade and go all the way to the 12th grade. But another program that we started is called prep or post grad. So student athletes just graduated from high school that are looking for another year of development, maturity, quicker, faster, stronger, exposure, maybe academically they need some work. We have that program as well. And from an international standpoint, from an international recruiting standpoint, it's a great opportunity for international students that come to the U.S. that want to go to a U.S. university to get acclimated to the speed and physicality of the game, all the while playing a national schedule and getting recruited and being able to take college classes on our campus. So, and the best thing, they're not using any of their NCAA eligibility. So they come here for 1 year. They still have 4 years to play NCAA basketball.
You know, if I'm a coach here, I'm, you know, there's a whole lot of opportunities that can be to be had with you guys. Um, have you conducted coaching clinics in other countries, and what has been the reception? Because your setup is unique. What has been the reception to your setup in other countries?
Very positive. Yeah, we've ran coaching clinics as well as camps in China, a virtual one in Singapore. We've done all over Europe, Germany, France, Croatia, all throughout, obviously, North America, a couple in South America. The feedback has been tremendous. We've actually brought in a lot of student athletes from doing those camps and those clinics for them seeing firsthand the way that our coaches interact with the players, the skill set on what we teach. Obviously, the end goal is college placement and hopefully some sort of scholarship at the end of the road. But overall, I mean, the feedback has been tremendous. There have been sometimes early on at some of the other academies that we've started where some of the local coaches thought of us as a competitor, where we said, no, we just want to help. You know, we're not looking to take your players. We'd love to come to your gym and work with your players, work with you, run coaching. You know, we want to work with whoever wants to work with us. And that's been really good for us, not just in a local market, but a global market.
But have you had student or a student exchange where you see a very good student athlete from another country and then have them come over to ISA? Has that happened?
Oh yeah, often pre-COVID.
Okay, well, out of curiosity, any Filipino Americans who've gone through ISA?
Not to date, but hopefully this upcoming year, that fingers crossed.
Okay, and are you open to a setup wherein, let's say, a college sports team, let's say from the Philippines, goes over to the ISA and undergoes a X amount of time of teaching and training, not just on the court, but off the court as well, for example, in a classroom, stuff like that?
Johnny, go ahead, man.
Absolutely. You know, we have hosted teams, national teams from other countries in the past. And so I think that's an exciting opportunity for a team to travel to the US, not only culturally to see what the basketball scene is like here as a competitor, but also, as you mentioned, educationally, to see what an American education may offer. One of the unique aspects of ISA is that we actually teach college courses on our campus to the postgraduate students that Bob mentioned. And so, again, not in competition with other universities, but so that our students can enhance their development academically and take those credits with them when they go to a Harvard or a NYU or a University of Cal Berkeley, wherever they end up going to school. If they choose to go to school, they'll have credits to take with them. And so I think having a team come, a college level team, playing against teams here at ISA, other prep teams, playing against other college level players, playing exhibition matches and friendly matches against colleges and universities here in the United States would be an unbelievable experience, while also getting to see, you know, different cities. You know, we're smack dab in the middle of Chicago and New York, great places to visit, but also, you know, an easy hub to get to other cities in the US, Florida, California, different places that are very attractive to international travel. So all and also diverse communities that probably have a lot of Filipino Americans living in them. And so I think that would be a wonderful program to start. And it just creates a pipeline to the culture. You know, you mentioned student exchange. I think all these things are really what basketball and sport in general kind of brings together. It's the glue that keeps a lot of people together. And that's what we love about it and why we're so passionate about it.
Okay, so my next question is, so it's not just basketball, John. And Bob, it's other sports as well.
Yes, so we recruit student athletes to not only Andrews Osborne, but other high schools and academies across the country. And we kind of, I should say, we kind of fell into this side of our business in which we call our placement business. That's when it could be a student athlete or just a student that it may not be an athlete that's looking for whether it be college, high school, academy, summer camp, university, and we will help them with that. We'll help them with that process. But when we're talking about all the sports, literally we offer every sport here on our campus other than American football, even esports, which is an incredibly fast growing sport. But from golf, tennis, swimming, track and field, soccer, volleyball, baseball, I mean, all of these sports we have on our campus and also with partnerships at other schools all over the country.
All right, Brian, back to you.
All right, thanks, Vince. I just gotta ask. I mean, this is very question I ask everybody. Has the pandemic in a way altered your your plans for the past years, Bob or John?
It's a great question. From an academy standpoint, we actually grew in number. Even though there were quite a few international students that we could not get into the country, obviously due to COVID. From a other business perspective, we got introduced to a product called SIQ, which is a smart basketball, which is, I don't have a doubt in my mind, within the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be in every single gym across the world. I mean, it is a unbelievable technology that tracks makes and misses, whether you're shooting off the bounce or shooting off a pass, efficiency, shot release, arc, all with an app. All you need is the ball, a hoop with a net, and the app. And John will be able to give more details of that. But a positive takeaway from what has happened over the last 18 months is being introduced to this product at the ground level, which is, quite honestly, most likely we would not have had that opportunity otherwise. So, John, I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Of course. And pandemic speaking, I mean, really what became attractive about our campus is that it is secured. And our sport training, I mean, sports in general is a very tight-knit kind of programming where you have schedules, you have a regimented day about your training and your school. And so I think that was very attractive to families. Instead of going into maybe a large school environment where there was many students or having to be only virtual, we were able to create safe environments for students to not only train, but learn in. And that was very exciting. Certainly not being able to maybe travel our teams across the US border to other countries, that was a negative. But in a general sense, I think it allowed us to think outside the box. And like Bob mentioned, maybe introducing new products to our program that we wouldn't have introduced in the past. And speaking of the basketball specifically, what's exciting about that technology is that it's going to transition into other sports as well, whether that's soccer, whether it's golf, whether it's baseball, sports that involve balls and projectiles. We're always trying to find ways to track more data, track more statistics. And so as coaches at heart, any tool that allows us to do that is something that we're going to continue to embrace here at ISA. And SIQ is one of those technologies where they're able to start putting the smart fitness technology into the same technology you might see in a watch, into a sport ball or a sport equipment. And so that's where we're trending towards, is how do we get kids and professional athletes to really understand their sport, really understand their performance. And that's what's exciting about the future at ISA.
Actually, when I went through that app, it was really applicable because most of the athletes I know right now, they're training at home, independently. So is this app Android based or iOS or Apple based, or do you have
both.
a version for for both?
It's both, yeah.
Okay, so is it free or do you have to pay a certain amount like the usual other apps?
It has a small fee based on, what features you want to have provided, but it's very affordable. Anywhere equivalency in US dollars of probably $5 to $10 per month. But what we look at it as an investment in your sport. Even though it is an investment, it's the obviously the information that you can get from it is very powerful. It always offers a free trial, but I think from a day-to-day youth standpoint or a day-to-day adult user standpoint, it's a tool that's very important and very useful.
So could you run us through how does it work? I mean, for example, people who love to shoot, to improve on their shooting while we're in this pandemic, how does it work?
So the basketball itself is a basketball. It's a normal indoor basketball or a normal outdoor basketball. There's both features. What's unique about it is that inside the ball, there's some proprietary technologies that use Bluetooth technology to calculate, where you're at on the court. And it can, as Bob mentioned, it can measure the distance you are from the hoop. It can measure the ball going through the net. It can start to really learn you as a player and learn you as a shooter. No different than the technology we always say that's in, and I don't know what's the popular brands in the Philippines, but Apple iWatch and Fitbit are two fitness watches here in the US that are very popular. And so when you take that same mentality of let's track behavior or let's track action, the ball has the same type of technology in it. So it's not that this technology hasn't existed. It's that people haven't found a very successful way to put it into a basketball or into a soccer ball yet. And now that SIQ has done that and has been developing it for the last 5 to 10 years, it's an exciting kind of, some people are scared of new things and some people are sometimes scared of intelligence. But I think from a player standpoint, it really starts to provide for you an insight into performance, which we're always trying to find. How do you get from point A to point B as fast as possible as an athlete? And that's what we're looking to always do, is find ways that speeds up the training process so that you can go from beginner to intermediate to advanced, in a more efficient way.
And I'll just add to that.
Go ahead, Bob.
It's a FIBA approved ball. And so it's a game ball. So what we use with our academy, we're the only academy in the United States and quite honestly the world that has these balls. We use it in practice. We use it in games, and it's able to track and differentiate. So if we've got 5 guys on the floor, it can determine who is shooting. All the guys have to be connected to the app, and you go about your workout, you go about your game like you would, and it feels the same, bounces the same. You'd have no idea that there's technology in the ball. But what's really interesting, we have Duncan Robinson right now of the Miami Heat. He's one of the spokesmen. But we've had a few calls this past week, really exciting stuff. And it looks like, there might be up to 4 NBA lottery picks in this upcoming NBA draft that will be pushing the product, that are already using the product. And, as young guys want to get involved into the investment world. And, with SIQ just, rolling out the balls in January, that opportunity for investment for these young guys is available. And so I just see the trajectory of the SIQ ball and SIQ as a whole, exploding here over the next few months.
Nice. I think this is something that's going to be beneficial to the local scene here. A lot of people are looking for something like that. I mean, almost everybody. They're looking for ways. They're relying on apps. How about you, Vince? Do you have a follow-up to that?
Well, either Bob or John can answer this question. Let's go way back. How did SIQ come about?
Johnny, I'm putting that one to you.
Sure. So SIQ was developed by a European professional basketball player. He played for many different teams over his career, and when he got out, he was by education, he was a tech developer. And so he really wanted to find a way to get some analytic information for himself as a player, but also for his club, his teammates. And this is where the idea kind of steamrolled from. Flash forward 5-10 years later, with some long-term serious development and research behind this, they approached ISA about being the official home of the basketball, of testing the basketball, using our academy athletes to test the product, work out the kinks in the back end, the app side, the analytics side, and endorse our academy as an official academy-based program of SIQ. And so for Bob and I, you know, we first looked at it and we said, I mean, sounds too good to be true, this product. Once we got through some of the initial kinks and helped them with feedback, our coaches became empowered. So this technology did not replace coaching. I always tell coaches very clearly, because I think sometimes people think this could replace a coach. Absolutely not. What it does do for a coach is it makes you a more powerful coach, a more informed coach. And so when you're working with especially with, you know, younger athletes, knowledge is power and experience is power, and understanding this information and being able to use it to make you a better player or a better coach is what is exciting. Because when you talk about the NBA, the buzzword is always analytics, right?
Yes.
In all sports now, it's analytics. And so they hire data scientists in NBA front offices all the time to make decisions based on previous performances and projecting on data. So it's a natural progression for us at the level beneath the NBA to be infusing the same types of concepts with our athletes and coaches so that they become empowered to be the best they can be. And especially like you mentioned, Brian, back at home for you, I think with students, as you mentioned, having to be away from their coaches more and more often lately because of the pandemic, it provides a way for coaches and players to still connect via feedback, where a student can go and train and get some data, get it back to their coach. The coach can work with them one-on-one virtually, maybe, to continue progress so that they don't take steps backwards, even if they can't train together. So it's very exciting. But Vince, you know, having kind of gone through that backstory, where we're at today is, like Bob said, we use it in all of our training sessions, we use it in our practices, and we continue to work with other groups and other academies and other programs here in the U.S. to kind of spread the good word. And, you know, as the technology continues to improve, there's going to be other features that don't exist today that will be developed tomorrow. Things that we've heard talked about are heart rate monitors, you know, tracking basically the effort that you put into each session. So when you're playing a 5-on-5 game, you know, you can kind of see who's putting in the most effort and then relate that to their stats. So really exciting stuff that I think as we grow, we'll just continue to get more exciting.
Well, you know, the app can, you know, while you were talking, John, I thought of the app can be used as a scouting tool. You just replace the balls of your of your opponent, and then have all the balls replaced with SIQ balls. You'll know when you know how much their percentage and all that.
You'll know who to foul. You know who to foul for foul
yeah,
shots.
yes. Has how are you getting any inquiries, or are there other national teams already using this technology?
Yeah, so we've had quite a few interests, you know, throughout the Middle East. We have a few balls in China, although in Asia we haven't, you know, like we just rolled it out in the U.S. in January. We're slowly trying to integrate it into Asia. There's some balls in Japan, Singapore, Taiwan. So it's growing. It's growing, and it's growing quickly. Are you guys familiar with the Peloton bike?
I'm not. Sort of, kind of.
Sort of.
Yes.
Okay. So it's very similar when we're talking about trajectory from a business standpoint. It's going along that Peloton model from this sports tech app-based performance. So when I say it's growing quickly, I mean it's growing very, very fast. And so I would love to talk to you or any, you know, coaches or athletes in the Philippines that would be interested in using the product. We'd be happy to help make that happen.
Okay. Anything similar in the pipeline? Anything that you can tell us? Anything similar technology in the pipeline as far as because John mentioned earlier about heart rates, and is that in the pipeline? A similar app, but more of to monitor your player's health.
Johnny, go ahead.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from us being involved with this product from the ground up, is that there's so many other areas that need addressed in sport. Player safety, player athlete health, mental health. These are areas that are huge topics of conversation at the professional level. And as we've seen with the NBA, with the NFL, Major League Baseball here in the U.S., is that player safety and player health has never been more at the forefront of decision making than it was, in previous years. And athletes are smarter now. Athletes have access to information. Athletes are better educated, and as they get to become professional athletes, they understand that their bodies only have so many years of performance at the highest level, and that's their time to profit from their sport. And so I think that anything that can be transitional into health from technology standpoint is only going to be increasingly popular in years to come. With us specifically, it's about trying to get this same technology into other sports balls, whether it's soccer, whether it's tennis, whether it's golf, whether it's baseball. Something that moves just like a basketball moves. Doesn't matter where it's going. Could be going towards a goal. Could be going towards a target. We want to be able to really try to get it into other sports. But then on top of that, as you mentioned, the health tracking. I think athletes need to understand their bodies better to be their best. And so anything that we can do to build an environment where athletes are learning more about their bodies and learning more about their minds is what we're definitely going to be investing heavily in over the next few years, because it's just that important these days for athletes across the world.
All right, Brian, your turn.
Well, actually, I wanted to show a video of your app. Right? Is that okay if I show this to you, to the audience? Bob?
Absolutely.
John?
Absolutely.
All right. This is so far, this is the only one I was able to download. Right. Wait a minute. Oh, here it is. This is the app, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically how they do it. They shoot it, and so wait, when you hold up, it's in the ball. I mean, are there sensors here? Or
Zero sensors. It's all
Oh.
built on Bluetooth technology. Yeah. So the only I guess sensor is in the basketball itself, and then it's not it's unique to the basketball, but then it's the basketball syncs via Bluetooth technology to the application.
Oh, okay. So at
So
least
what's going on right now is these
Yeah.
two players they've synced up the SIQ basketball to their application, and they're just simply going about their normal workout, their normal shooting routine. And as they shoot, the ball is tracking different metrics. Makes, misses, your shooting percentage. It's keeping track of your shot arc, so whether the ball is going high or low trajectory. It's keeping track of your spin rate, so how fast the ball is rotating per second as you shoot. And all these measures for a trained coach will be valuable in their feedback to the athlete, so they can try to help them find consistency and also proficiency in their performance.
Yeah, really interesting analytic that comes out of this is quickness of shot. So how quickly from the time either off the bounce or off the catch are you able to get your shot off? And as the level of play continues to increase, that is such an important statistic because the players get faster and the players get taller and longer. So you have to be able to get that shot off even that much more quickly. And that's just another piece of what SIQ, the basketball, is able to do.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, it's really applicable here with especially right now here in the Philippines, most are headed towards the vacation, and I'm sure kids would love to use this. So it's very very nice. It's a nice technology. All right. So Vince,
And hopefully soon,
yeah.
when the borders, when things get better with travel, we would love to come and do clinics and camps with kids and demonstrate this product or just skills training with them. I mean, that's something that we've been talking about for the last 2 years of getting on the ground and really, getting basketball players who are really passionate about it more, better training or more training and just kind of continuing to help them progress. So hopefully that's what comes out of this in the next year or so is that ISA can be a presence and help kids learn this technology.
Yes. Yes. Very nice. Okay, Vince.
Well, both of you have extensive experience, not just of being around the game, but also in recruiting. Um, both of you been have you had opportunities or chances to impart your knowledge and best practices on recruiting?
Yeah. So, with regards to, my experience, being a player, having the opportunity to play at NCAA Division I and Division II level and being recruited really opened my eyes to the world of recruiting as a college, not just a college basketball athlete is very different than a college tennis athlete. It is a business through and through. So transition after my playing career into an NCAA Division I coach as well as an NCAA Division II coach to be able to use some of the skills, tools, things that I learned while being recruited and being able to use that as now a recruiter helped tremendously. I feel like at the end of the day, recruiting is about relationships and trust. At the end of the day, as a recruiter, as a coach, I want you, that student athlete, to be a part of our program. So what we need to do is be able to connect. I need to try to find ways that there's similarities, things that I know that we're going to be able to provide to a student athlete that he may not be able to get elsewhere. Where I think I don't think, where I know where John and I differentiate from not just academy recruiting, but also the college recruiting. Of course, we're going to go after good players and good student athletes, but we're going after high character student athletes as well. And if at the end of the day, our academy just might not be the best fit for that student athlete, we're not going to push it. If I think that there's a better fit for this young man or young lady somewhere else, we're going to be open and honest because we want them to be as successful as possible. Because even if they come to our program, there might be a ceiling. Maybe it's just not the right fit. I don't know. But truth, transparency, and being able to connect at that level with each athlete is different. And I think for us, that's where we thrive, is being able to really want to get to know each and every person at a different level than just them as an athlete. Them as a person is what's important. John, I don't know if you have some comments.
I think Bob hit it on the head, Vince, in that you win with people. And so as a scout or a recruiter, depending on what level you're looking at, I mean, obviously if you're scouting for a professional basketball team versus a college team versus an academy versus a high school, it's going to be a little bit different. But the biggest thing that we can provide is transparency to athletes and their families, and being honest with them about where they're at in our opinion from our professional experiences on the talent spectrum. And so
sometimes they don't like that. Sometimes they don't like that transparency.
Of course, but within that, what's unique about ISA is we may see potential in somebody and say to them, you're not at the level you want to be today, but here's how you're going to get there tomorrow. And we have a plan for that, and we'll program for that, and we'll provide the individual attention, like Bob mentioned, to that student athlete to help them get to where they want to go. We have the resources in place, and we focused a lot of time and energy on that, of making sure the right resources are on our campus for athletes. But I think in a general sense, what's also been unique is that we've been able to travel the world, like we talked about, going to conferences, meeting coaches from different clubs or different walks of life that have a way of doing things that was unique to the way we do things, and we can learn from that and help communicate better with their student athletes. So it's something where if you get out there enough and you talk to enough great people, you'll start to learn what people are looking for, and we just want to be able to provide to as many student athletes as possible. We don't just focus on the ones that have already become NBA prospects. We don't just look at their talent on the court. We look at the total person, the total athlete. And so that starts at a very young age. And along the way, we want to try to provide tools that they can use to get better.
Yeah, so to what Johnny said, we don't just recruit high level athletes. We do have high level athletes here, absolutely, but we also recruit that beginner level, and we have a team and a coaching staff just for them, a national schedule just for them. So we're able to recruit. It's funny at this level, we recruit like we're an NCAA Division I school as well as an NCAA Division III, meaning yeah, we have some scholarship money, but we don't have a full scholarship. I always say, if you have a full scholarship, anybody can recruit at the full scholarship level. It's recruiting and building that relationship with the family and saying, listen, this is what we're going to provide on a daily basis. The care, comfort, support that your child, or young man, young daughter is going to receive. But then there's cost, because there are fees. I mean, our resources are extensive. But that is why I believe we're different than other academies across the country. It's a skill set, but to me, that's the most exciting thing, is getting to know, like Vince, for example, like had it not been for us connecting, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It's about the relationship. It's about building that relationship.
I want to get your thoughts on because the NBA G League has started. I don't know if I should use the word recruiting, but attracting high school talent, getting six-figure salaries, and now you have the NCAA scrambling, who may have to or may be forced to pay student athletes now. What are your thoughts on that?
For me, and I don't know where John stands on this. I've always thought, okay, you're getting a full scholarship at the NCAA level. You're for school, you're not paying for food, you're not paying for boarding. You're in a sense, you're getting paid. You're getting your academic, your education paid for. Do I think they should be getting paid? I do not think so. If they decide that they want to, skip college and go to the G League, then so be it. That's fine. But I'm one. I think I'm actually probably in the minority. I'm old school thinking, okay, if they're getting their college paid for, then I don't think they should be getting compensated. But actually, I don't know John. I don't know where you stand on this.
One of the things that I think is blown out of proportion a little bit is that, Vince, with especially you mentioned the high school league that's being created, the G League players are going, that's for the top less than 1%ers. And what I think gets lost in that is that that's such a small number. And, this year in NCAA Division I men's basketball, there's about 4,300 student athletes. And on the women's side, probably about 3,800 to 4,000, and just Division I, not counting Division II or Division III college athletes. And the players that will receive money, it's a very small fraction of that. And that's only basketball. You go across the landscape of all college athletics, soccer, tennis, golf, baseball, swimming, and diving. These are sports that don't generate the kind of television revenue that men's basketball, women's basketball, and men's American football generate. So I think it's a depending on who you're talking to, it's a biased conversation. If a player is one of these types that you mentioned who's able to get six figures and play high school basketball, that's not the majority. It's such a small minority. And what I would say to it is I agree with Bob on every point that he mentioned, in that receiving a college education for a scholarship at the Division I level is worth $250,000 alone. College is just very expensive in this day and age. And so that is a privilege. There's no question. But the one thing where I'll say I'm leaning towards the pro paying side is that if I was when any college student is a college student, they can be hired to do any job. Why should that prevent a student athlete from making money off of their skill set? If you're a musician or you're an artist or you're a talented essay writer, there's no question that you could be in college helping tutor high school students in writing essays. You could be paid to give art lessons. You could be paid to perform music in front of live audiences. Why should an athlete be different? Now, there has to be a lot of rules and regulations involved in this. So I'm not saying that the NCAA and the colleges should have to pay the players, but I do think that they should relieve some of the restrictions of the player not being able to make money off their likeness. That's just kind of where I sit on it. I mean, if somebody's willing to pay a kid $100,000 to be on a billboard for their company. Should that be disallowed because he plays basketball for the school? I don't know. It's going that way. So there's really, my opinion does not matter, but that's just kind of how I feel. It's funny because you see a commercial for a university, like we'll say University of Florida, and they have students from the university that they pay, maybe it's $100 to be in the commercial with a Florida sweatshirt on, but an athlete can't do that. I don't know. It seems ironic, but I think it's going towards that. They'll find a way to make it work for everybody. I don't think that they will be unable to find a way to pay the right players for the right type of, it has to be the right value. And at the end of the day, again, this is such a small minority of players that I don't think it will truly affect the game.
Because what's his name? UCLA's coach, he made it perfectly clear how he felt about it. So, yeah, 'cause he thought he lost a player. He lost his recruit to G League Ignite.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyway, all right, Brian, back to you.
Well, I just want to go back to what you're discussing earlier, because another thing I loved about what Bob said. I'll read it. This is about Bobrovsky. I tell him I don't care if you score a point or grab a rebound. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to have fun, and everything else will take care of itself. That's a very, very good answer. That's something that coaches preach here. So, Bob, could you shed more light on why you said that? What was the situation then?
Absolutely. During the recruiting process for anybody, I mean, we're asked the question all the time. How many wins have you guys had this year? How many championships have you had? And my answer is always the same. We will win by doing the right thing every single day. Winning is just a cherry on top of doing the right thing every single day. Now, does that mean you're going to win a lot of games? Doesn't have to, but you're going to be successful if you do the right thing at the best of your ability all of the time. And so my comment to Robert was along the same path of, if you do what you're supposed to do, and for him, it was about transparency. Because at 7'7", at 16, 17 years old, everybody's looking at you. Everybody's going to ask questions. Can you take pictures? And it was building that trust with Robert and his family of saying, listen, if you start to feel overwhelmed, if you start to feel uncomfortable, if you start to feel taken advantage of, come to us, come to John, come to the coaching staff. And our job is to protect you. Our job is to make you feel safe, feel comfortable. I could care less if you play 20 minutes a game or a minute a game. Yeah, you're here because of basketball, but that's a tiny piece. You're here to get your high school diploma, and then you're also here to grow as a young man and learn how to I don't want to say fit into society, but to become more comfortable in his skin. And he got it, and he got it pretty quickly. And so for Big Rob, it was Big Rob was different than any other player we've ever had. Yeah, we've had 7-footers, but from 7 foot to 7'7", 7 inches might seem big, but when you're standing next to 7'7", it's a whole different ballgame. I actually remember a picture I took with Robert and his father. His father is 7'1", played on the Romanian national team with, oh my gosh.
George Mirasan?
George Mirasan?
George Mirasan.
Yes, yeah, George Mirasan. And so I'm 6'6", and this picture has me in the middle of Robert and his father. I look like 4'1". Like I'm so small. But these guys, like that family, I have nothing but great things to speak about the Bobrovsky family, just great people. Sorry, I kind of went off topic. I had to give Big Rob a plug. I love him.
Yeah, very nice. Well, that's something that the coaches need to, tell players here locally. I'm sure there are, right, Vince?
Yeah. Again, I want to go back to recruiting, Bob and John. I want to ask the both of you, what's your best recruiting job ever?
John, I got to think about this one.
Speaking in basketball or in life?
Basketball.
My wife. No,
Okay,
my
I was
wife
gonna say
is
my
best
wife,
recruiter.
right? Because if she hears this, she'll Um, I mean, honestly, I'll say I think all of them are great. It's really difficult to get, especially in the competitive basketball space, a talented young person, if they're, they have great character, they're a good student, they're a good ball player, they're going to be recruited by a lot of different schools. And so I think anytime they choose us, even though we're biased and we believe in our program because we know what it can do for young people, I think anytime somebody says, I want to play for you, coach, or I want to play for your team, or I want to play for your school, it's they're all equal wins nationally, internationally. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's that special of a connection because they're choosing you over everybody else. I would say for me, some of the pride that I've taken in is it's not so much the recruiting them to us at ISA, but we've had people that we've had to market and help recruit to after us. So for example, whether it's the guys that have gone and played for NBA teams or the guys that have gone on and played for college NCAA teams, sometimes that's a harder thing to do than getting them to come to play for ISA first. And we had so many young men and women that over the last couple years have been playing in the NCAA tournament on television. That's the most exciting part. We had a young man this year playing at Rutgers in the tournament, playing at St. Bonaventure in the tournament, playing at Ohio State in the tournament. So that was fun to see. But there's a couple that come to mind. I mean, for me, I guess one of the most high profile ones that people would know about, a young man that plays for the Milwaukee Bucks right now named Bryn Forbes. He played for my team in college. So we recruited him from high school to our college, and he played at our college. He transferred after 2 years to another university, but he eventually went on to the NBA. And so that's always exciting when you can, and I know Bob has some instances like that where he can explain to you that he had young men come to play for him in high school or college that went on and played in the NBA. And those are big decisions for families because they know at a young age that player's probably got a shot at maybe doing this sport professionally. And so they're entrusting their son or their daughter to your program. And that means being away from home. That means daily care, daily attention. And so they really are putting a lot of trust in you to help develop their son or daughter into the player they want to become. And so that's always special.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Bob, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
About the ISA, because we know a lot about the basketball and the other sports. How about the other aspects of sports? Does ISA also get into that? For example, sports management. For example, a career in sports management, a career in, for example, sports marketing or sports administration. Does the academy also teach that to the students?
Great question. So, where we are located here, Cleveland, we have so many opportunities for internships, for opportunities to bring in other professionals in all different career paths to meet with them, to open their eyes to, because what we will say, no matter how high of a level athlete, the ball's going to stop bouncing one day. What are you going to do when that happens? So really opening their eyes to, okay, do they want to get into the law field, sports marketing? They want to be an agent, like all of these things. So what we obviously we have a lot of contacts with regards to sports agencies, sports agents, sports marketing. Right now, we actually have a gentleman. His name is Josh. God help. He actually, I don't know if you guys have heard of the magazine Dime magazine. Used to be around. Yeah. Okay. So Josh was the founder of Dime and sold it. I don't know, John, maybe 10 years ago. I don't know.
Probably about 10 years ago.
10 years ago. And so Josh is actually, he runs all of our sports marketing. And so what he's actually doing, he's working with one of our post-grad athletes who wants to get into the, producing like films, marketing, things like that. He's working with him hand in hand on teaching him the ropes while he's here at ISA training, getting recruited. This young man actually just accepted a full Division II scholarship a couple weeks ago. But he's really just continuing to learn and grow off the court as well. So yeah, absolutely. Being here in Cleveland as well, we have student athletes that are doing internships at the Cleveland Clinic, which obviously is one of the finest health institutions in the world. So we have all of these resources literally in our backyard, and we promote very heavily that if you could take basketball and get paid for it, take it as far as you can, but you got to start preparing the mind for what's next.
I think also the unique aspect with our summer camp program is that we have international groups traveling all the time to do a camp or a custom program. And so for those coaches of those teams and those programs to interact with our coaches, it's professional development at its finest. It's an experience where we can teach technique, we can teach strategy, we can teach fundamentals, and help coaches leave with a skill set that they can take back to their program or their school back home. And so, we encourage that. We would love to have, whether it's Filipino coaches or coaches from other countries, come visit us, come stay with us, do internships with us. What's great about us having a school on site is we have housing. So we encourage people to come through and build connections to our staff and learn and grow. And like Bob said, we're trying to infuse professional development for the students, but not only the students, but for the coaches that come and visit us as well.
Do you have partnerships or collaborations with schools and colleges overseas from abroad?
So we've worked with numerous schools all over the world, more so from summer camps and one student athlete here coming over. We've been in talks pre-COVID with a couple international schools in China about developing the ISA program at their school. So those conversations have happened and are currently slowly progressing back into where they were before. But that's really what we do on a day-to-day basis, just to continue to try other like-minded institutions that would be interested in partnership.
All right, Brian, you're up.
Actually, I ran out. I ran out of questions already, Vince. How about you? Do you have any more?
Well, I have another. One more, and
Right, go ahead.
there's over. I think last week there was this kid. He's not like Kai Soto, but he's very good. I think he committed to Gonzaga. He's what's his name? Chet Holmgren.
Oh, yeah.
Number one high school player in the country. He's 7'1", and his wingspan is about 9'4" or 9'3", and he plays like Kevin Durant. How do you see this kid? How do you see this kid? Eventually, he has to fill out and all that. What are your thoughts on this kid?
Kid is uber talented. When I saw Kevin Durant at a young age, I said the same thing. Oh, he's got to fill out. His just can't support him. Yeah, he put on some size, but he's still extremely thin for the size of his body. And I think Chet is going to be the same. I think he has physique. His skill set just overcomes his strength, physical strength. At 7'1", the ability to handle the ball like a point guard. His ability to shoot the three, like deep NBA three right now with ease. His ability to run the floor. He's bouncy. I mean, yeah, he is a young Kevin Durant, and I only see him being at Gonzaga for 1 year. He'll be a lottery pick in next year's NBA draft. I don't have a doubt in my mind.
Well,
there's definitely a reason that probably 7 of the best NCAA men's Division I schools were his final 7 choices. Everybody sees the upside in his ability.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, I'm out of questions.
Okay. I'm
You know,
gonna put, I want to put Bob and John in a spot.
I'm eager to help Bob and John out. I'll have them I'll have Coach Louis get in touch with them of BCAP.
Oh, Louis Gonzalez.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he's a very good friend. Okay. So before we wrap it up, I want to put Bob and John in a spot.
I
Okay.
like it.
All right. Can you give me your 5 best shooters in the NBA ever? Ever, not just this season. Based on, give me your 5 best NBA shooters.
I'm
Bob
good when you are,
Bossman.
Bob.
Bob Bossman. Now, Johnny knows I always put my name in that category. No, but
I like it.
I'd say Reggie Miller,
All right.
Steph Curry, Ray Allen. I love Larry Bird, so I got to throw my guy in there. And honestly, Steve Kerr could shoot the snot out of the basketball.
That's true. How about you, John?
Unfortunately, Bob stole at least 3 of my guys. I was gonna say Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Steph Curry. Those are no brainers. I mean, those guys in different eras. Like Reggie Miller, a little bit like earlier 80s, 90s, and then Ray Allen kind of coming in. They just changed how quickly you can shoot a 3, and then Steph Curry took it to another level. Even on top of that. On the Steve Kerr line, I'll switch that one up and I'll go with one of our local legends, Mark Price.
Oh, yeah.
I think he shot like
Yeah.
96% from free throw for his career. And then instead of Larry, I'll switch up. We'll go old school. We'll go Pistol Pete Maravich.
Oh.
Ooh, I like it.
He played in a different era though, without the 3-point line. And they always said if he had a 3-point line, his points would have been his points per game would have been unattainable for anybody else to match.
I see. All right. Okay. So Vince, if you don't have questions, I'll give the floor to John and Bob for their final words. John, can we start? Oh, yeah, Bob, you can go first.
Perfect. I would just like to thank you, Brian and Vince, for the opportunity to speak today. I truly enjoyed it. John and I will be available whenever you guys want to talk shop, talk basketball. But truly, thank you. We're humbled for the opportunity to have an opportunity to speak to you, and honestly, would love the opportunity to also be in the Philippines in one way, whether it be a coaching clinic, summer, running some camps. But from a recruiting standpoint, would love to build that connection and relationship and partnership to have Filipino student athletes in our program every year. So I would love to continue that conversation with anybody that would be interested.
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot.
There
Let's wait
will,
for them.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. John?
I also want to just thank you, Brian and Vince, for the opportunity to share thoughts and ideas. I think that's what makes, as you mentioned, Brian, you're doing the most you can in the digital age with COVID. And if it was a different scenario, we'd hopefully be there in person, like Bob said, with you guys. But I just want to extend to echo what Bob said, any Filipino student athlete that has a dream, has a passion, has a desire for their sport, call us, email us, message us on one of our social media accounts. We are an open book when it comes to information, knowledge, advice. And I would just say to anybody out there or any parent that wants to know what a great path would be for their son or daughter to help them in their sport endeavor, ISA wants to be a part of that and wants to open up our doors to you. So we're very excited about growing in the Philippines and continuing to meet great people like yourselves. So please keep us in mind and we're always available.
Well, actually, while we were talking, I put the links to your website and your Facebook on the comment section. So for those who are interested, you can just click it there. It's already there.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And you, Vince, and your final words?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to Bob and John for your time. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully, we can do this again on a more informal setting, talking ball, talking basketball, both in Cleveland and here in Manila. Stay safe.
Love it.
Stay safe, you guys.
Thank you so much. You too.
Yep. And talking more about maybe your favorite players by then, Vince, right? I love putting Bob and John in a spot. And as for me, well, I really hope also we can talk to them again. As I'm sure we still haven't tackled a lot about what they're doing right now. Well, anyway, that's maybe for another day. But for those coaches, basketball fanatics, please do check it out. I'm sure you're gonna love it, especially with the COVID right now. All right, thank you, Bob. Thank you, John. It was really an honor. I mean, talking to you, I'm really a bit starstruck with you right now. All right. So on that note, thank you. Oh wait, can we get a picture first before we end this? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Of
All
course.
right. Andre,
Oh,
one.
let me fix my hair. Okay. We're good.
Me too. I also got to fix mine.
All right. Andre, 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you, everybody. And we hope you got a lot of information from this interview. And Vince, thank you again. If it was not for you, this would not been possible. All right. So on that note, everybody, good night. Good night here in the Philippines, and good afternoon. Good morning there over, I think, with you, Bob and John. All right. And it's a
Thank you.
pleasure. Bye, everybody.